Okay, it's a minute after. We'll get started and people will continue probably to enter the room. Warms my heart to have you join us on this cold evening, at least cold here in Goodhart, where we are. I'm Sue Kelso, the founder and executive director of the Goodhart Arts Residency. And with me this evening off screen is my husband, Bill, also a co-founder of the residency, and he's handling the chat and people entering the room. So thank you again for joining us. For those listening in, I'm a senior woman with graying hair wearing a bumpy dark green sweater. I'm seated at the kitchen table at the Goodhart Artist Residency, which is located on the ancestral lands of the Odawa people. So thank you again for being here. This session is being recorded and will be posted on our website in the next few days. It'll either be this recording or the recording we did at 11 o'clock today. Closed captioning is enabled if you want to use that. This is a regular Zoom meeting format, not a Zoom webinar. All of your lines have been muted on entry, but you will be able to unmute yourself in the end if you'd like to ask questions. Please put any questions you may have in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them during the session. Bill will be answering some questions live during the session, and others may wait until the end of the session. Throughout the presentation, we've sprinkled in some videos of alumni and advice they have for the residents or future residents, and it might help you discern whether this is a good residency fit for you. We want to respect your time, and we expect this session to last about 45 minutes with approximately 15 minutes at the end for question and answers. Okay, what you're looking at is Lake Michigan, where the residents of the artist residency have access to the lake. This is probably a summertime photo given the green on the trees, but the waves are really rolling in, and you can swim here in those nice warmer months. Maybe even the colder ones, but the latest we've had somebody swim here is in November. So our mission statement is below. Important part of our mission statement is that we really try to nurture artists, writers, and composers that come here. All right, we're going to start right away with a video clip from Christina Clancy, who was here in 2023.
My advice to future residents is to just open yourself entirely to the experience. If you've never had a residency before, you're going to be so spoiled by this one. It's nothing, there's nothing like it. I've done a lot of residencies, and I would plan for solitude, for being on your own in a creative space, and the challenge that brings to you. And I just kind of embrace that. I would plan for spending a lot of time outside because it's so pretty, you're going to want to. And you're going to probably find yourself inspired by the natural world in your work in a way that you might not anticipate. And I would also, like I said, when I was there, I just gave myself time and permission to play. I think a residency is an opportunity to give yourself permission to try stuff you've never tried before, challenge yourself to do things you didn't think you could do, or break some rules with your work. It might not pan out, but none of that time will be wasted in the end. So I would just take advantage of that, time where you're just going to want for nothing and be around good people and be in a beautiful environment and see how it feeds your work.
Okay. So logistics, all right. You can see the map of the United States, where Michigan is, and how we are at the top of the mitten. We are located about 38 miles from the Straits of Mackinac, the Mackinac Bridge, Mackinac Island. The nearest airport is Pellston, and the next nearest is Traverse City. Both of those airports, if you use those, we provide local transportation from those airports. You would be in a very rural, wooded area near Lake Michigan, near the Tunnel of Trees, a scenic heritage route. You can see the distances from Detroit and Chicago. About half of our residents get here by car and half get here by plane. You don't have to have a car here. We do provide local transportation to your events or to the grocery store and maybe a small tour of the area. Residents are responsible for transportation costs. We do provide a bike in the non-snowy months. And like I said before, swimming, so bring your swimsuit. It's only a short walk to the beach. The beach is across the street, and down a few houses to where the residents can access the lake. Okay, the three pillars of our program. We are about art, we are about place, and we are about community. We firmly believe that art builds community. So important, your work is important. We hope that you are inspired by this place, and community engagement is an important part of our program, and I'll be talking a lot more about that later. So some of these slides is information directly off our website, so I won't go into read every little bit of detail over it, and do recommend that you do go to our website to take a deeper dive into the residency. But in general, a residency stay lasts 10 to 21 days. We give you a window of time, and you have the flexibility to schedule your length of stay. We host primarily one artist at a time. It's a solitary experience. The sizes of the residency, it's a small space. You have it to yourself. The studio is only available May through October. We do ask you to take good care and to leave it as clean as you found it. Your food is provided, and we do the shopping for you. About a month before your stay, we send you a grocery list. You fill it out, we shop for you. The kitchen is fully stocked and well equipped for you to prepare your meals, though a local host will provide a welcome meal. We do pay a $500 stipend at the end of a successful residency stay. Okay, the facilities themselves. People have loved this. People who have stayed here have absolutely loved the space. It was built about 6 years ago, specifically for the purpose of being an artist residency. Again, with the access to the lake, pretty much kitty corner across the street. Um, and I do recommend, that you go to our website and actually do the video tour. You can see some images. I'm actually sitting at that kitchen table right there that you see, but it's basically one bedroom downstairs and then a loft with a sleeper sofa and a half bath, full bath downstairs. The entire place built with accessibility in mind. Do take the video tour. The studio itself, you can see, is located adjacent about 30 feet from the residency with ramped access between the two. And you can see on that lower photo that there's a hydraulic door. It lifts outward so that really frees up that studio space for artists to work. But again, that studio space is only heated May through October. Okay, as I said before, the residency was built with accessibility in mind. You can read through there, but there's two times that we basically ask for if you need any type of accommodations. Once is in the application itself, and then the second time, if you're selected, is in the orientation materials that is sent to you about a month before the stay. If we cannot meet any access needs that you have, we will be transparent and let you know. So residency dates for 2026 and 2027, these are the opportunities that we have to offer. Residency windows specifically for visual artists. There's 5 of them, even though you see 6 listed, because the first one is a curated residency, the Elevating Diverse Voices residency. That is not part of the open call, but the other 5 listed are open, part of the open call for visual artists. It's important to note that the July time slot is in collaboration with the Harbor Springs Farmers Market. So if you're applying for that time slot, your community engagement should be about how you would work with the Harbor Springs Farmers Market. And there's more information on our website about that. The other time slots, August, October, March, and April, you can select any of the almost 20 of the organizations that we work with as your partnering organization and describe a community engagement event with them. March 5th through 26th, the studio space is not available. So we've done this a couple years in the past where we've had artists here in March and April. And it's just whatever your artistic practice may be, you need to be able to do it in the residency itself. You might push the kitchen table up against the north wall of windows, but something like fiber arts or video work, or there's whatever is not too like slap and paint all over the place would be welcome practice in the residency itself. Also really important to note as I start talking about these residency windows, it's to your advantage to apply for as many as you possibly are available for. So you'd be considered for more than one residency time slot. So residency windows specifically for writers, there's six of those. Some of you that you see there that some of them are listed as offsite residencies. I'll explain, what offsite means, but it's our attempt to build capacity and provide more opportunities for artists, writers, and composers beyond the actual residency space. The community really has great support for this program, and people have generously offered their spaces for our writers and the composers especially to use their spaces. So June 10th through 24th at two different locations. One is Blissful Cottage. The next one is Council Tree Cottages. That's for the Writer Friends program where two writers are sharing. They each have an individual cabin, but it's the Friends program so that they work together. At times. They can bounce ideas off each other. The September time slot in collaboration with Harbor Springs Festival of the Book. And then the January and February time slots will most likely work with a local area school. So for composer residency dates, you have the June offsite residency at Woody's Retreat, a cabin, and we'll show you a photo of that later. And then at the residency itself, the November time slot. So two options for composers. All right, more of an explanation about these offsite residencies. You can read that there, but it's really super generous people up here who allow us to use their guest spaces for 2 weeks in June. And it also gives us the opportunity to kind of have a cohort experience for residents that we bring here. Um, they each have their own cabin, but there are opportunities to gather for dinner or for an open studio. So there's a bit of networking that can happen during those June residencies. The Blissful Cottage one on the left, that one is a little over a mile away from the residency on the same road. It's actually on a bluff overlooking Lake Michigan with access to the lake. It's a one-bedroom, cute little cabin. It's the first year we've used that, but it's a board member of ours that's donated those 2 weeks. Really beautiful space. And each of these I'm describing, there's more information on the website in the description of each. Council Tree Cottages, we've used this property for the last 3 years as writer friends or individual writers using this space. It's two cabins on the property. They call them the north and the south cabins. And then in between is actually the owner's cabin. But this property is on the non-lake side of Lake Michigan or the road. And you have access across the street to Lake Michigan. And they have this beautiful cantilever deck that overlooks the lake. And I think nearly 400 feet of frontage on Lake Michigan. So, beautiful, beautiful spot. But the cabins are definitely rustic in nature. So review that on our website. Woody's Retreat, we've used Woody's just this once last past year. This will be our second year for using Woody's. It's on a 10-acre parcel. You'll likely be greeted by deer. And it hooks up to a nature preserve that's over 600 acres in size. The one drawback that you should consider possibly is that it is located near a gun club. So you would hear occasional shots in the distance. The resident that was there this last summer said it just was occasional and it became kind of background noise. They didn't mind it, but you may. So check that out. All right, the Writer Friends program. It's just an opportunity for two writers to come together. There's a separate application for the Writer Friends application from the general open call application. You can apply to both. A writer can apply both as a writer friend and to the open call. For the Writer Friends, for two people to be selected to attend together, they both really have to be top scoring applicants together. Yeah, I think that's about it on the description for that. And here's a video. Ashwini Bashi and Ellen Stone were the Writer Friends residents 2 years ago at Council Tree Cottages. And they're going to talk more about really what to consider when coming for the residency.
Check in with yourself about how much you want to be with nature because that will exponentially, be advantageous to you. I'm sure that, like, even if you're not a huge nature person, I am actually, maybe I'm not, like, because I'm not like a person who goes hiking and trekking. I just like to be in a place and sit with nature, right? So that's what I mean by nature person, not like, extreme sports kind of thing. Um, or like if you really want to be with nature, this is like an amazing residency for you. And the another thing I want to mention is for a 2 week residency, my advice would be like just allow yourself to come and sink into that experience. Like, don't focus on productivity. Don't be thinking like, oh, I have to write. Oh, I've been here for 3 4 days and you've not started writing, because um sometimes it's like a lot to process. It's so beautiful and maybe you need that time. So trust your body, trust your mind to relax and take it all in. Because
much like Ashwini, I needed to kind of assess the place. So I spent a lot of time listening. Like I opened the windows and I listened to the birds. Like I did a lot of bird identification through my Merlin app and figured out who's here with me. And there were a lot of birds and I loved it. And let's see, I also said, go to the lake as often as you can and let her speak to you. And then immerse yourself however you need. Like if you need time to yourself, if you need to come in and put a quilt on and get in your bed and just be in there with a book, do that. And if you need to be outside and going for a walk and or sitting and listening to the waves, do that too. I found long walks both directions on the lake every day were critical. I did so much lake walking and I almost never saw another person, which was incredible. And I would also say that, especially if you're doing the writing, the Friends writing program, you can kind of bring your community with you and you should do that. But you should really think about who is my critical connection to writing? How do we feed each other? Because you could actually take that to the residency and it's this most amazing gift that you've given you and your friend.
Okay. So the call timing, hopefully you all know that the open call is open right now and you can get on Submittable and apply. The deadline is a hard deadline, January 13th by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please don't email me 10 minutes before the deadline to ask questions about how to apply. Do apply early. We are hoping, this is an estimate, to notify artists that are selected between March 10 and 13 and to notify non-selected applicants by email in later March also. All right, to talk a little bit more about community engagement. So for visual artists, community engagement is a little bit different than writers and composers. So I'll start with visual artists. So visual artists are asked to do an open studio Saturday, either from 10 till 2 or 5 till 8. It's a chance for the local community to come in, see the work in progress, meet the artist, and for the community just to have time to appreciate art. We also ask you to do one additional community event with one of our nonprofit partners, and that's what you describe in your application for community engagement. To give you an idea of what some examples are, in the lower left is John Gittleson, and he collaborated with the Harmer Springs Farmers Market. He made people designed little pins, and he stamped had the stamping machine to make the pins. And he probably made about 100, or with the participants, made about 150 of those. So a lot of work on his part. Next to that is artist Brianna Beck. She did a talk and a workshop at Crooked Tree Art Center. We made disability pride pennants as part of the workshop, and that pennant was hung around town in different places during July Disability Pride Month. Above that is artist C.L. Skull, who's here in October. She collaborated with Little Traverse Conservancy and the Thorn Swift Nature Preserve and two local alternative high schools. She provided a nature hike and a ink drawing activity. To the right of that is Elgin Cleckley. He did an artist talk at the Charlevoix Art Center, and he also did an open studio. So for writers and composers, similar partnering organizations you can partner with. And if you have something in mind and a partner's not listed that's a good fit, it's possible that we can find somebody for you to work with locally too. So there are no open studios for writers. It's really just the community engagement portion. On the lower left is O. Jeremiah. He did a poetry reading. He was one of the June residents. He did a poetry reading at our open studio last June. Next is Midori Larson. She did a taiko drumming workshop for third graders in Harbor Springs. She went to all the third grade classes, had a taiko drum, demonstrated, taught a little bit about culture, and let the kids actually try to play the drums. It was awesome. To the right of that is Dan Loomis. He's actually seated in the loft area of the residency here with the keyboard out and his computer and his guitars. He's a jazz composer. For his community engagement, he worked with the jazz club at the Harbor Springs High School and did a workshop for them. He also did a performance at the senior center in Petoskey. Above that is was our September artist or writer, Rebecca Nagel. She collaborated with the Harbor Springs Festival of the Book. She was part of two panels as part of the really 3-day book festival. If it's our most competitive time slot is with the Harbor Springs Festival of the Book. A lot of people want to be part of that festival. If you apply for that time slot, a lot of your community engagement is actually determined by the Festival of the Book. But you also should propose a workshop in the local community. We may or may not do that, but we would like that option if possible. All right, so you have questions. Hopefully we have answers. We wrote down a lot of the questions that came in when people registered. They are in the areas primarily of what's the selection process, more about community engagement, general eligibility, can I apply if I'm this or that, and then about the residency themselves. A video by Pedram Baldari, who was here in May 2022.
I think do your homeworks first before you go. Learn more about where you're going, what kind of community you're going into. I really experienced lots of support. That's one. The other one is really prepare yourself to embrace what's there. Take as many walks as you need. Try to be in the nature and embrace the environment and really embrace the fact that you may go there to do one thing and then come out doing completely something else, and that should be fine.
Okay, so do your homework, like Pedram said. All right, selection process. Really, we go back to the pillars: art, place, and community. And that's what we ask questions about in your submittable applications. Jurors then assess the strength of your creative work, your statement of intent in your application, and your community engagement proposal. So what is the selection process? As soon as the open call is closed, then all those applications go to the jurors. Jurors have about 3 to 4 weeks to review all the applications. The top 2 pretty much for every time slot is identified. And then those individuals that are the top two finalists for each time slot, we check their references and we schedule an interview. If all that perks out and you are selected, we would offer you a contract, and then you have a fairly short period of time, usually about a week, to accept our contract or offer for a residency. It's a pretty quick, tight timetable process. For jurors, we right now have 6 writer jurors scheduled, 4 visual artist jurors scheduled, and 2 composer jurors scheduled. Depending on how many applications received, we may need to add more. We also have 3 moderators that kind of help make sure that everybody's voice is being heard and things are equitable. We don't advertise who the jurors are, but in general, a juror signs up for usually a 2-year, period to review applications, and it's kind of a rolling on, rolling off situation with jurors. So if you applied before, it's likely that you have new jurors that would be reviewing your application. Let's see. Most of the jurors are alumni of our program, and then we do draw from local talent we have in the area too for jurors. How many applications are usually received? We did not do an open call last year. We did really pretty much a second chance, and people that were finalists from previous years were invited for residencies. The year before that, when we did an open call, we had 529 applications for 13 advertised residency spots. So it's highly competitive. I will say this year we shortened the time frame, the open call time frame. So it's a tighter time frame. We possibly may not get as many applications, but we really don't know. It's a wait and see situation. I should also let you know too that both Bill and I are not jurors. So you can contact us with any questions you might have. And we can give you advice on to help you fine tune your application if you'd like. So yeah, we let the jurors do the actual selection work. Okay. So selection process continued. What are common mistakes you see in applications? Really, what's like what Pedram said is not doing your research. We've had people apply that said, I can't wait to meet the other people at the residency. Well, this is a solitary experience, right? This is solitary. You may meet artists in the community, you meet people through community engagement. In general, it's one artist here at a time. We've had people actually say, I can't wait to come to, and then they have they've copied and pasted and they say another residency's name. So don't just make sure you do your research of who we are, where we are, what we are. And then the other stumbling blocks I've seen in applications is references. Make sure that your references, you've got good references that will give quick responses, good professional references. We've had it happen before where we contact a reference and they don't respond. And there's only about a week to 10 days that I email a reference and they've got that week to 10 days to respond. So it's really important that you have a good reference, professional reference that'll respond quickly. The ideal situation before I've sent out an email request for a reference, and one time I got a call within 5 minutes saying, you got to get that person to come to Good Heart. They're just awesome. So if you can find somebody like that is a good reference for you, it's a great thing. What qualities, routines, or use of the space has folks successfully in the past? What I recommend you do is go look at our list of alumni and look at our list of events and see what has worked, for other residents in the past. And always to hit the art, place, and community in your application and be really detailed in your answers. How long should the statement of intent be? Because I get that question so often. I answered it right there, 2 to 3 paragraphs. It also says it on submittable that we're looking for 2 to 3 paragraphs. All right, this is out of our juror training manual, and it's kind of the selection criteria when it comes to your, art, your body of work, your creative work. Is it cohesive? Is it recent? I wouldn't recommend applying with work that's 10, 20 years old. It should be more recent work. Technical craft, self-awareness, all those are just important things to think of when you're applying. All right, community engagement proposal. I think we've done a better job this year in our submittable directions for writing a community engagement proposal. This is right out of submittable, what you'll see when you apply. So describe your proposed arts events. What would you like to do? We've done everything from nature bathing in a blizzard to full out performance and ballet events. So it really is open to your imagination and what really connects to your practice. Um, so, hopefully there's good direction kind of how you should word your community engagement proposal. One thing I like to see too is that if you've done this before, say I've done this with this, whatever it is, with like, middle schoolers or high schoolers or senior citizens or something to show that you have experience putting on some type of community engagement event. All right, so kind of reminders again, look at our residency partners page. So when you apply, you say what partners you want to work with. Look at our events page and see past community events for ideas of things that have been done. And make sure if there's a designated partner, such as the Harbor Springs Farmer Market in July, that you address your community engagement proposal to that specific partner if one is listed. So if you're selected for a residency, we do work very closely with you and the nonprofit partner to design, take your idea and make sure it's going to work for that partner and be mutually beneficial for both of you. And we budget about $300 for event supplies. So if you're doing something in the schools and you need notebooks or colored markers or something like that, that we do have a budget for that. The Harbor Springs Farmers Market, we've pretty much exceeded our budget on that every year just because you're interacting potentially with so many people. So we do, cover supplies to a certain degree for the community engagement events, but we do appreciate people kind of thinking about budget too. Okay, eligibility is kind of a whole bunch of different questions that came in. So trying to answer those. Are all mediums of visual arts welcome? Certainly, we welcome artists because we know it's not just maybe dealing with clay. It's research, it's inspiration, it's coming up with ideas. So we don't have specific equipment such as a kiln or darkroom equipment. But we do accept photographers and pretty much people in all mediums. We just may not be able to provide the, bigger equipment, especially that you might need. Are you looking for artists at certain stages of their career? We accept applicants and select residents from all stages in their career. When we started this program 13 some years ago or more, I don't even remember now, we dealt with emerging artists. We tried to serve emerging artists. But what we learned is that people are emerging artists at almost any age. You might have been away from your art career for 40 years and coming back to it. It doesn't really matter. You can be established artists. We are looking for a good diversity of artists in different stages of their careers. Can you apply as a hybrid artist working in more than one medium, such as a painter, writer? You actually cannot. You need to pick your strength. If you are a painter and a writer, you need to pick what your strongest area is because our jurors are specific. We have a set of jurors for visual artists, a set of jurors for writers, and it's the set of jurors for composer. They don't cross review applications. So go with your strength in applying for a residency. Your website says you're looking for artists who are pursuing their craft professionally. I like the word really art professionally. What does that mean? We're just looking for people who are very passionate about, the arts and are working towards being a professional in their career in the field of arts. So there's no real technical definition. We just want somebody that's really passionate and serious about their art. Can a comic book artist apply? Should it be a writer or artist? That's kind of hits to the earlier question. Comic book artists can certainly apply. You again will go with your strength, whether maybe your educational background's mostly as a writer or mostly as an artist. Go with what your strength is. Can a writer apply with sample writings from multiple genres? Yes, our writing jurors are used to reviewing applications. It may be poetry, screenwriting, fiction. So they'll review different genres. Okay, the answer to all these is yes, so you can read through them. Um, but we had questions about what kind of composers, experimental, atypical, folk, yes. Digital illustration, yes, we accept applications. Could a writer and composer apply separately for a residency but attend together if both are selected? That's the key. If you both apply individually and you're both selected and you let us know we'd like to come at the same time, that's a possibility. We've never had it happen, I don't think, but
Natalie and Matt.
oh no, we did one time. A composer duo from London came. They both came at the same time. And do you accept applications from fiber artists, screenwriters, filmmakers? Yes, yes, and yes. All right, we are coming near the end, so hang in there. About the residency itself, questions that we have is, can I bring my dog or pet with me? Unfortunately, we love pets, but no. The only exception is service animals. We do not allow people to bring emotional support animals. Do I have access to swim? I mentioned this earlier already. Yes, there, from May to as late as November, we've had people, residents swim in Lake Michigan. Do you have Wi-Fi that will support my work? We have high-speed fiber optic internet, but you also have to understand we're in a rural area that occasionally will have power outages, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that often, but there could be some interruption in our Wi-Fi. Can I bring my partner, children with me? Um, Unfortunately, we are a solitary artist residency, though we do offer one child care stipend of $1,000 to offset dependent care at a home base while you attend a residency. Anyone that has dependent children can apply for that parent artist stipend, and it's just a checkbox on the application. We only award one of those though, unfortunately, due to lack of funding, but we still value artists that are parents trying to, make work. Are there end of residency expectations, like an exhibition, closing event, or donation of work? No, there is not. We really see this residency as a time for respite, kind of relaxation. I think you heard it in some of those interviews where, you come here and you experience this. You hopefully it opens you up to inspiration and to maybe new things in your work. So there's no high expectations for any type of donation of work or closing exhibition. A question on what COVID safety precautions do you have in place? Because this is a solitary residency, you have that benefit of you're the only one here, with, your own germs. So that's a benefit as far as that goes. But the COVID, we will happily mask during transportation or anytime we are in the residency with you if that's what a resident would desire or need that accommodation. We had recently a resident that came in that had long COVID and didn't want to, be exposed to pretty much anything. So anytime we were with them, we wore a mask. In the car, we wore a mask. And for their community engagement, they wore a mask. So we still want the community engagement to happen, so it can't be a complete isolation, really. But yeah, we will make any accommodation we possibly can. What do past residents love about the residency? Um, we've had great experiences. Our residents have had great experiences. I think what makes us really unique is that we really try to nurture the artists while they're here. So we provide things like maple syrup made from the sap of the maple trees right here on the property, jams from local fruit. We're known for the scones that we make. We provide the welcome dinner. We have what we call local hosts, like you're partnered with somebody in the local community and they might bring you cookies or take you on an outing. We really try to take really good care and support our residents when they're here. And of course, Lake Michigan, the ability to walk along the lake in all 4 seasons is greatly appreciated too by the residents. Okay, we have a video with Natalie Wildgoose. and Carlina Dewan, just a little more advice about residents.
Some advice that I would have to share with future residents is to try to spend at least the first 3 days slowing your pace down and to not put any pressure on yourself, because the transition between wherever you're coming from and what you're about to have for the time of the residency, you need to give that at least 3 days to just get into that new way of being and to find the new rhythm and to try, and for me it was very much I had to really teach myself to slow down, and that is when I think the magic starts to kind of bubble and you feel more like you can settle. To draw from every pool of magic that it offers. So go on lots of walks and really try and be aware and present within where you are and to take from that and make notes of it so that, you know, the time will go by really, really quickly. And the next thing you know is you're left. This was the best thing for me, was you to be left with this kind of notebooks and all this amazing kind of these memories, I guess, that I had written down and I had kept for myself.
So I did have one goal, I think, while I was there, which was to just walk by the lake every day, which I ended up doing and which ended up also influencing my poetry. The other piece of advice I would say is just open yourself up to new experiences and to meeting new people, to maybe trying different things that are local to the area that may end up inspiring your own creative practice. And lastly, I would say, like, have fun. And, you know, it's such a sacred time to be able to devote yourself to your own work and to your own book, your own writing, your own artistry. And so have fun with that experience and really lean into all of the different wayward paths that your writing or your creative practice might take you in your time at Good Heart. So good luck and enjoy your time at Good Heart.
Okay, of course, we have to end with the sunset on Lake Michigan because those are spectacular to enjoy at the end of the day here in all four seasons in Goodhart. So I thank you for listening in during our formal portion of presentation. You can always email us at info@goodheartartistresidency.org if you have additional questions.